Greetings, diners, and welcome to another edition of I Spy Doom, here on the Doomstead Diner. Today, we're going to look at cooking methods for the homeless person. I've done quite a few Snap Card Gourmets on various recipes and so forth, but I haven't really addressed some cooking methods that are for when you really hit the bottom of the barrel, so to speak. Now, what I've used in the past is this Coleman cooking stove. These are pretty common, and the fuel, the propane fuel, is also pretty ubiquitous. You can find it just about at any Walmart or any Safeway or whatever. But the problem with them is that these cans of propane come in at around $3 a piece. And maybe you get about an hour's worth of cooking time on them before they're spent. You can do better if you hook up to a 5-gallon propane container, but that starts to get difficult. And propane also has its problems insofar that it's heavier than air. So if you're keeping it in a confined space like a van or a tent or so forth, a leakage of propane can be a problem. So, what I am going to show you today is another more simple and cheap method for doing your cooking, and that is using what I call a soup can rocket stove. And here it is. Okay, let's move that out of the way. And really all it is a tuna can and a can of Progresso soup. Now these two types of cans are the same diameter, so they nest well with each other. And then inside the soup can is going to be your fuel, whatever that is. I could use sticks from out here. I could use a piece of charcoal. Any number of things could be thrown in there to cook with. The way it ventilates is I've got holes poked through the tuna can, and air comes in through the bottom, through the tuna can. Then there are more holes in the bottom of the soup can. And so the air then flows up through the soup can, and then there are more holes still on the outside of the soup can to allow ventilation. If you don't allow the ventilation out, once you put something on top of it to start heating it, then your light will go out fairly quickly. I've got this tea light already lit in here, and that's what I'm using. Tea lights for these things. They come in quite cheap at about 5 cents a piece. You buy a pack of 100 for about $5. And it usually takes 1 or 2 of these to heat up your average can of soup or cook an egg or whatever. Although it does take some time because it's not as hot as a flame as you're going to get off of a propane grill or propane stove, or a kerosene stove is another example. Kerosene comes in cheaper than propane, it's safer, and it has a lot of advantages. We had a conversation with Van Dweller, and he operates all his heating and so forth on kerosene rather than propane because of that. And all you do, once you've got your heater going and it's starting to go, is you take another can of soup that's actually got some soup in it, and you drop it right on top of that, like so. Okay? And this one is closed, and you don't actually have to open it for a while, and it's better not to, because you're going to keep the heat inside. But you can't let it go forever, because you eventually would explode your can. So after a while, you crack the top to let out escaping water vapor and relieve the pressure. And then once you feel that it's warm enough, hot enough for eating, take it off, and you have a nice hot soup meal. And you can cook other things this way too. You can hard boil an egg and so forth. You just have to leave it in there for a while. And it depends on how many tea lights you use also. You can use 1, 2, or in fact 3 will just fit in there properly. And as long as you have good ventilation, you can run 3. But one of them will go out periodically unless your ventilation is good. Now, besides using it for cooking, your tea light heater or tea light stove can be used for heating as well. Just by itself, the candle is going to radiate its heat into the air surrounding it, and because air has a low heat capacity, and because the air flows around whatever space you're in, that heat gets lost pretty quickly. So what you do to avoid that is you need a heat sink of some type. And there are any number of things you can use, but what I am using is a rock, okay? And all you do with this rock is just place it in there on top of the tea light. And then over the course of about 10 minutes, that rock will start to heat up and start radiating heat at, about, with one tea light, it's probably about 120 degrees Fahrenheit or so, maybe a little less. 2 tea lights, it's over that. And then, it provides enough heat for you. In the article that accompanies this, you'll see various ways in which you can use the tea light heater and tea light stove. And so I hope you enjoy it and try it for yourself. They're quite neat, really. And that's all to do. This time until next time, here on the Doomstead Diner.